You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's anti-Italian discrimination.
Or at least that's what residents are saying here in Nonantum, the Italian village located within Newton, Massachusetts. Nonantum has been known for generations in the greater Boston area as a hub of Italian culture. And like many Italian Americans, they've never shied away from showing off their pride in where they're from. Across Nonantum, affectionately known by the locals as the Lake, the Italian tricolor of green, white, and red can be seen prominently displayed throughout the town, on fire hydrants, street signs, and even by the local Irish pubs. But their most prized flag was this one, or at least it was up until a few weeks ago. This is Adams Street. For 90 years, this street has not only marked the path of the St. Mary of Carmen procession to the church, but the start of Nonantum's annual Italian-American festival, put on by the St. Mary of Carmen Society every July. To mark its significance, the double yellow lines on Adams Street have been painted not in the traditional yellow, but instead of the green, white, and red of Italy. According to the St. Mary of Carmen Society, they've had the road painted these colors ever since the first festival, also called Festa, in 1935, and every year a cornerstone of the Italian-American festival was freshening the paint ahead of that year's festivities. But this year, something changed. On the night of June 26th and into the early morning of June 27th, at the order of Mayor Ruth Ann Fuller, construction crews woke local residents as they got to work painting over the Italian flag with the standard yellow lines. No warning or heads up was given. Needless to say, people were pissed. A tradition held close by so many was erased in the cover of darkness out of nowhere, only 3 weeks before the street was to be the focal point of the village's biggest festival. As the festa neared, tensions only continued to rise, until the days leading up to the events when locals began repainting the Italian colors over the yellow lines, leading to at least one arrest. But if you thought it was only the Italian Americans upset, you would be wrong. The Adams Street lines have united the people of Nonantum, regardless of their ethnic background or religion. The Adams Street Shul, a local synagogue, has lined its fences with Italian flags in support. One member of the synagogue even began repainting the lines in front of their building. The mayor did end up making a statement on the situation, citing a high volume of traffic accidents as the reason to make the change, in addition to mentioning that the double yellow lines are not only state, but federal law. Now, I can understand from the outside why this might make sense. If the road needs these lines because it's unsafe and it would comply with the law, that seems fairly reasonable. Unfortunate for tradition, but okay. But the thing is that when you start to peel back the layers, the decision only seems more illogical. I'm no expert on car accidents, but if you look into the accident history on Adams Street and just look at the street with your eyes, you'll see that a lot of what happens has nothing to do with the lines, but due to the lack of space on the road because of on-street parking. The accidents I could find were instances like parked vehicles being struck, and the last time I checked, that wasn't the fault of the color of the lines. And citing the law in this particular case doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either. These lines are not yellow, nor have they ever been yellow for 90 years. There has been an agreement between St. Mary of Carmen and Newton to keep this tradition alive, and never has there been an issue before. But all of a sudden, right before the biggest week of the year, it had to go. Not all hope is lost, however. Even though the mayor may have taken a hardline stance against the flag, there's been talk of some kind of compromise. In the midst of the chaos, word got through from, allegedly, people who work for the city of Newton that spoke of adding the Italian flag next to the yellow stripes. How exactly this will look, I'm not sure, but I think it has the potential to be a decent solution. The people of Nonantum don't want compromise, though. They want their traditions. As the festival has continued on, so have the efforts to fight against the city and mayor. Just today, even, more paint has been added to the street, and not just down Adams Street. Now, even crosswalks are being painted in Italian colors to show off Nonantum's pride and relentless spirit. Vendors at the festival are selling baked goods decorated to look like Adams Street, and Nonantum pride shirts are visible not just across the town, but throughout the country. They will never give up their fight. Now, getting back to what they said on The Sopranos, is all this anti-Italian discrimination? If you ask the residents of the lake, you'd probably hear a resounding yes. The view that seems to be prevailing is that the repainting of the road is an attack on Italian culture and religion from the government. I understand why they're upset, but I'm not sure I can quite make that leap. While I wholeheartedly support the protection of the Adams Street flag, I think that what all this boils down to is an incompetent government handling the situation as poorly as possible. If the city was really having their arm twisted to have the lines changed, they should have communicated that. The people had a right to know. And if there was time booked to paint over the street, residents should have been able to know that as well, allowing the paint to have the send-off that it deserved. That time also should have not been immediately before the festival that the street is literally painted for. I truly cannot comprehend how awful of a decision this was. But regardless of the intentions, a war has broken out here in Nonantum, and from the looks of it, it's going to take a lot more than some asphalt and yellow paint to keep this community down.